Hey everyone, how you doing today, and welcome back to my channel. Now today we're going to be doing a review for the one and only No Time to Die, the newest James Bond movie. I had to come correct because come on guys, come on, it's James Bond. Like, you gotta come smart for a James Bond review. Now No Time to Die is the 5th film in the Daniel Craig era of James Bond, and I believe it's the 25th Bond film. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's either 24th or the 25th. I believe it's the 25th Bond film, but the 25th Bond film in a whole crazy year-long lifespan of movies and a franchise of spy films, British spy films that has stood the test of time. It's crazy how Bond has lasted this long, actually. This is the final film in the Daniel Craig era, and what an era it has been, man, because I didn't expect the Daniel Craig era to be this good. I mean, before we started this, I grew up with the Pierce Brosnan era. I mean, well, after GoldenEye. That was like, alright, but Bond was a bit over the top at that point. I mean, I did like Bond, he's cool and all, but he was like more or less a superhero at that point. But then the Daniel Craig era came in with Casino Royale, and Casino Royale is one of the best action movies I've ever seen. I'm gonna be real, it's one of the best. Like, that film blew my flipping mind, because I didn't know James Bond could be so grounded, and I didn't know the action could be that good. And all this without all the over-the-top action, not action, but gadgets and stuff, and just having real grounded characters with a really flipping good story, with a Bond that you kind of feel like, you know, is not the most perfect guy. I mean, that film was incredible. And since then, the Daniel Craig era has been crazy. I mean, granted, Quantum of Solace happened, but I don't even blame them that much because of the writer's strike. Other than that film, right? And partly Spectre, yeah, partly. I do like Spectre now, but partly, right? The Daniel Craig era has been pretty fantastic. So this film was meant to cap it off. James Bond and Madeline are now together, and they're James Bond has now given up his role as being a secret agent for the MI6. He's left that and he's gone to have a nice relaxing life with Madeline, but stuff happens that brings Bond back into that world. I don't want to go too much into spoilers, but that's pretty much what I could tell you about No Time to Die without spoiling anything. All we know is we have another James Bond movie and Bond has to come back, and it's the final movie. That's it, pretty much. Even though the stunts in this movie are way better than in Spectre, you can tell that Daniel Craig, he can't hack it anymore. He really can't. I mean, the Casino Royale stunts compared to the stunts here, you can tell. But he does make do with what he could do, and the stunts do pull off, and he does them really, really well. I also love his story more than in Spectre, because my biggest problem with Spectre was kind of the conclusion, more of Act 3. Act 3 really had me at a loop, because I rewatched it, right? Because when I first watched Spectre, I was disappointed. I rewatched it and I looked at it and I was like, why was I so disappointed? And then when I got to Act 3, I was like, oh right, now I remember. There's a bunch of things in Act 3 I didn't have a good vibe with, but in this film, all the stuff that happens in Spectre, I feel like it's done better in this movie, if that makes sense, or the story is just better for me to like enjoy in this sense. So for example, the relationship between Bond and Madeline, I did not like it in Spectre because I was like, this is a little too quick, but in this film it makes way more sense and it's a lot better. And speaking of that, Léa Seydoux as Madeline, I love her way better in this movie than I did in Spectre. I'm not even gonna lie, she was good in Spectre. It's not her, it was the character. That was the problem, and I just love both of them more in this movie. I feel like this movie just improves everything in Spectre, in my opinion. That's how I feel of it, except for the cinematography. That's one thing that's hard to replicate. You just can't replicate Roger Deakins' cinematography. I mean, the guy, this is why 1917 is one of the best movies he's ever made. Like, come on. Naomi Harris as Moneypenny, Ben Whishaw as Q. They're both awesome again. And also Ralph Fiennes and M. I love the whole supporting cast, actually, of the Daniel Craig Bond era, especially since Skyfall. Since Skyfall, I've actually wanted to see a lot more of this cast, like, way more. Like, I would have paid to see like another like 3-4 more movies with this cast. And I really hope that when they move on to the next Bond, I hope they don't get rid of the supporting cast. I think they should keep that and just replace Daniel Craig's Bond and just do it as a new Bond and just keep going. I feel like that should be done because this cast is actually kind of perfect in my opinion. And also, an addition to that cast is Lashana Lynch as 007, who is absolute fire. I flipping love her in this movie. I hope we can see more of her yet again, but because James Bond. I don't know if James Bond is that kind of franchise where you just start spanning spin-offs and stuff, so I don't know if we're gonna do that, but at least if she's a supporting role for a while in the Bond franchise, that would be so awesome. And what I really like about her is just her playfulness, or not really her playfulness, but her I'll call it banter, but it's banter basically. Her banter with her and James Bond, especially as she's 007 and James Bond isn't. And it's really, really interesting to see how both of them have this competition between who should be the rightful owner of 007 and what it means to be 007, and it's pretty awesome as well. Also, a scene stealer who isn't in the movie for that long is Ana de Armas. Oh my god, bro. Ana de Armas, man. Like, I saw her in Blade Runner, yeah, and I thought she was cool, right? I was like, wow, who's this actress? She's pretty cool. Like, she's playing an awesome character. Next thing you know, I watched Knives Out, and I was like, oh my god, I love Ana de Armas, man. She's so awesome. Like this character is so cute as well, like, bro. And then next thing you know, right, I watched this movie and I'm just, oh man, Ana de Armas, I want to see more of her, man. Like, guys, we need to see more of Ana de Armas. So Rami Malek is the Bond villain this time, and to be fair, yeah, I actually really like Rami Malek and the Bond villain. I like both of them, right? My only issue is, this movie is 2 hours and 43 minutes or so, I believe it was. And I felt like I barely saw him in this movie. I don't know, I just didn't feel the menacing premise of him that much throughout the film, but I felt it at certain points in the film. And I just feel like it would have been better, and I feel like it would have been to the strength of Rami Malek more, because he was doing an incredible job. I think it would have been to his strength of him and the character if we had had more scenes with him, or if he was doing more things in the movie. That's just how I see it. And speaking of that, right, Christoph Waltz, right, returns as Blofeld from Spectre. I believe his name is Blofeld, right? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, right? And he felt more menacing than Rami Malek in this movie. This is what I'm saying. Like, it was so weird, because I watched this and I was like, wow, Blofeld is way better here than in Spectre. Like, whoa, I really feel his menacing presence on James. Like, he really wants the best with James. But then I go to the end of the movie and I'm thinking, wait a minute, why did he have more of an impact on me in this movie than Rami Malek's villain? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it was so odd, because both of them did a great job, but it just didn't have the same impact. I don't know what it is. I have a feeling it's a writing thing, because Rami Malek is in this movie. It's not like he's not in it for like, he's only in it for like 5 minutes. He's in this movie. But Rami Malek himself did a great job as the villain. The villain itself is awesome. I love the villain. Like, I feel like the villain better than Green. Definitely better than Green. Maybe not the other three. But actually, no. I would have said better than Blofeld if it wasn't for the fact that Blofeld was banging in this movie. If it wasn't for that, right, he would have topped Blofeld. But Rami Malek, I wish I saw his villain more. I really wish we saw more of him, because I loved Rami Malek's performance. I just loved the villain and just what he is, like how he does his stuff. Like, I just loved it, man. It's weird because this film is 2 hours and 43 minutes, and when I first saw that, I was so confused. I was like, why is James Bond 2 hours and 43 minutes? I mean, I get it's always 2 hours and 30 minutes, right? But come on, 2 hours and 43 minutes of James Bond. I was so confused. But when I watched the movie, like, it did not feel like 2 hours and 43 minutes. It really felt like 2 hours and 30 minutes. Actually, this felt like better pacing than Spectre. Honestly, I had more fun. I was enjoying myself moment to moment than in Spectre. And that is true. That shows you how much of an improvement this movie is over Spectre. And that comes on to my judgment of this movie. I think that this movie is fantastic. I'm really glad that Daniel Craig had a solid 5-film run. Like, in all honesty, even if I trash on Quantum of Solace, and even if I was disappointed with Spectre, all of them are good movies. Let's be real. Quantum of Solace is borderline okay-ish good. Spectre is pretty good. Like, I'm saying a lot of negative stuff, but really and truly, Spectre is actually a pretty good movie, in all honesty, right? The other three are fantastic, in my opinion. Yes, this one will be just below, not just below, but it's below Skyfall. I feel like Casino Royale is still number 1, Skyfall 2, No Time to Die, then Spectre, then Quantum of Solace. Quantum of Solace is really not it. But yeah, this movie is really about Daniel Craig's James Bond in this era of James Bond, just tying up his loose ends, and I really do feel it, and I really like glad we got a movie like this. I feel like it's like the perfect send-off for Daniel Craig, and I'm really happy that we got his era's Bond, and I'm really glad that we were able to see this in theaters, and I was able to see it in IMAX. I'm not gonna lie, that format was crazy for this movie. And the plot itself, right, it is more or less a love story between James Bond and Madeline, I'm not gonna lie, but it is done a lot better than in Spectre, and I feel like you're more attached to the characters more in this movie than in Spectre. I'm really, really excited for the future of James Bond, and I'm really, really glad to have had Daniel Craig, James Bond, just be in my life. Like, I really, really love this run. I love the franchise. Like, I do love James Bond. He's like awesome, a British icon, and I'm British. So all in all, man, thanks Daniel Craig, you were awesome, and all the team that just worked hard to reboot Bond and make it what it is now. Thank you so much. But all in all, let me give a review score for this film. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's a great movie. You should definitely watch this movie, especially if you're an action movie fan. Like, it's been a minute since we've had like a good action movie. One last thing before we end this video. Who do you guys think should be the next James Bond? In my opinion, if Keanu Reeves could play John Wick at 57, I don't see why Idris Elba can't play James Bond at 49. I mean, I feel like just give him like the 10 years, let him just play Bond and just do it. The downside is people are going to ask, can you do like the crazy stunts like in Casino Royale? I don't know. That's going to be a hard one to ask. But if Idris Elba feels like he can't do it, then really and truly just give it to Henry Cavill. What am I saying? Henry Cavill, right? I feel like that guy, if it wasn't Idris, right? If it really wasn't Idris, that guy is Bond. Like, for real. Like, just give it to Henry Cavill. Just honestly, if it's not Idris, just give it to him. He is Bond. Just give it to him. Try Idris first, please, because Idris would be so cool as Bond. But if not Idris, fine. Henry Cavill, please. Any other suggestions in the comments, let me know. Thank you very much for watching again. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel for more pop culture and entertainment. Have a great day, stay safe, and I will see you soon. All right, bye.